All right, good afternoon to everybody. My name is Dr. Horacio Maldonado. I'm with All Things Leadership YouTube channel. And today I have a special guest today that we are going to go over leadership, everything that drives it, and everything in between. So I'm pretty excited to have Mr. Hervin Antonio Hidalgo with me today from Sarah Coaching. He is a John Maxwell certified coach, trainer, speaker, and a phenomenal TEDx speaker as well. Hervin, thank you very much, and thank you for joining us today for this discussion, pause.
Yeah, glad to be here, Dr. Horacio. Glad to be here.
I appreciate it, brother. So, leadership. You're as being a John Maxwell coach and trainer and speaker. We always try to empower, influence people that we within our network and then outside our network. So I do have a couple of questions I want to just have a discussion with you, and just definitely see your point of view is very important to see what you are doing as far as a speaker and trainer, because a lot of people feel that a trainer and a coach and speaker that encompasses everything it actually does. So and I have been following you in the down low, stalking you on LinkedIn. So you're doing a lot of great, phenomenal things. So I'm very, very excited about that. So, the first thing is I want to jump into one thing, AI. In the era of AI, definitely changing the schedules, the remote schedules, the hybrid schedules. Traditional leadership has been affected by AI. So my question to you, Hervin, is what fundamental human skill do you believe is now and most critical for leaders to cultivate and remain effective and relevant with this whole AI concept?
Yeah, so when it comes to, fundamental human skills, I think that the ability to connect with people is quintessential because it reminds me of John Maxwell book that is titled Everyone Communicates If You Connect. And I think that a fundamental human skill that will elevate any leader in any industry is going to be the ability to connect with people.
Mhm.
Because, now with technology advancements and AI, we get information very rapidly. But one of the things that we don't get from AI is that human touch where you can connect with people, where you can feel, human beings' empathy and sympathy and that care and that kindness, right? So I think that leaders who slow down enough to listen and understand, not just respond, I think they have the ability to earn trust and uncover what's really going on and stay connected to their people,
Mhm.
right? Because a machine, a computer can spit out information. But, when it comes to listening and connecting with people, it's an active display of respect, humility, emotional intelligence. And it's really how you stay relevant by hearing what others won't say out loud and really responding with clarity and care.
Mhm. Yeah,
So the
definitely.
ability to connect.
Exactly. I like how you appreciate you said, staying relevant. Do you think leaders now are challenged because of AI to do their job moving forward as far as being effective, empowering, and influencing from your perspective?
I think that the load of a lot of people in management has really detached them from people, from their people, the people that they serve, the people um that they lead.
Hmm.
And it's important to, check off boxes and complete tasks. That's part of the day in and day out.
Hmm.
However, the component that is super mega important is really being able to connect with the people that you manage because they're essentially the ones that are taking that vision forward.
Hmm.
And it's super important that people in management, specifically the people that are managing teams, that they have that ability to connect with their teams and to be able to have that conversation with them and see, hey, how's it going?
Yeah.
Um, Nowadays, someone says, hey, how are you doing? And the automatic response is great, doing great. How about you?
Yeah.
Or someone says, hey, how are you doing? I've been busy.
Yeah.
rather than really getting into a conversation. And I understand that it's not always possible, but I really think that in order to be able to stay relevant as a leader,
Hmm.
you have to be able to be attentive of what the people on your team value.
Hmm. Definitely.
When you value and you understand what they value, I think that you are able to create that connection with them and you become a leader worth following
Hmm.
rather than just a leader by title, but you're leading through influence.
Yeah, I like that leadership by influence. That's exciting. You know, and you mentioned earlier that that human touch. You talked about that perspective because I think what a lot of people are so used to AI, like you said, giving you an answer back. The communication really goes very streamlined. It's not very empathetic. One of the biggest things, like you said right now, how are you doing? Oh, I'm doing great. How about you? Instead of how are you feeling, kind of sort of get that personal touch, and you don't get that. A lot of within my clients that I mentor and coach, they're like, I don't know what to do. This AI, I did this prompt, and I said, none of that has a human touch. None of that has any kind of emotional connection to you. It's just a word, a statement, an article, and we're going to move forward. And I think it does take that away. And leaders are more, they use that as a quick tool to get their point across instead of, like you said, use an influence, find out what they really value as a leader, as a human being, just in general, because the more genuine you are, the more they will trust you, respect you, be with you, join you, be loyal, all those good things. But, I appreciate the contributions on that one there, Hervin. I really appreciate it. Jumping into the leadership's all about serving others. We do that, and leaders have different points of view, different perspectives. Um, Most leaders get burned out very easily because they want to do all these things for their team, and they forget about that guy that's making the decisions, the visions, trying to manage every single thing. So my question to you is, how can leaders really authentically embody servant leadership without falling into the trap of self-sacrifice or becoming a perpetual, people pleaser? Yeah, I'm gonna do it just because I want to be able to be nice to you instead of really, really being authentic within themselves. What do you think about that?
Yeah, so I think servant leadership is something that has been around for a while, and I hear it in a lot of themes when it comes to leadership. You hear that word a lot. But my question is, do people really know what servant leadership is? You might be able to say, "Hey, I'm a servant leader," but are you embodying it?
Yeah.
And really, at the core of being a servant leader, I think that it's about empowering others without losing yourself, right?
Mm-hmm.
The key is rooted in identity, knowing who you are and what you stand for, and really setting those clear boundaries. Because ultimately, servant leaders serve with strength. And I love to say this, you cannot give what you don't have.
Exactly.
So as a servant leader, you have to be also fueling yourself and you have to be consuming things in order to be able to give to others. That way you're able to give from the overflow and not from depletion. Because it's not about doing everything for people, it's about equipping them to rise. Because see,
Mm-hmm.
you can love and lead people without needing their approval.
Yeah.
And that's where service becomes powerful, not
Mm-hmm.
performative. And going back to servant leader, there's a lot of people that are good at completing tasks, but they're not as good as to managing people.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's some that are good at managing people, but they're not good at developing people. And I think that at the core of servant leadership is being able to develop people, not creating followers, but creating leaders.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. And I like how you said it, embodying the whole concept of, you know, developing people, as leaders. I think is most of the times, a lot of from my experience and the people that I speak to is they get so focused on, I need to get the job, I get the job, and get the job done without really like, what am I doing for this individual? If that's part of my team that's making me successful, making us successful, but am I really developing? And I've taken deeper dives into the whole development perspective of leadership, depending on a wide range of different industries. How you develop people effectively really speaks about the individual itself, about the actual person is actually doing. Yes, I will 100% agree with you. Some people are great leading people, but they cannot manage the process. Some people can just manage the process, but do not have the right people skills, communication skills to really be effective. At the same time, how can I develop you? How can I empower you? How can I enhance you? And how can I enrich you? That's one of the biggest three things within Edge Consulting leadership that we do is we empower, enhance, and enrich. We need to be able to do something, and it's more than just do this because we have to do this. Those days are over. Now it's about developing influence and growth. They grow, you grow together. So I appreciate that. I like that. Thank you. Um, Training is a big part of leadership. There's hundreds and thousands of different leadership development trainings, and they're used to influence and to motivate others. And how can you skill your craft? So let me ask you this question: what precise helps leaders stay grounded in their values when power dynamics shift? And that the power dynamic shifts can be, like I said, AI, reducing workforce, high turnover. How do you how do leaders stay grounded from your perspective?
But I think that in any environment, there's always going to be, power dynamics and politics and, changes and change management. But really, it's being able to create that accountability, that reflection, because really power has a way of distorting perspective.
Mm-hmm.
If you're not intentional. And from my experience, I believe leaders must schedule quiet moments to reflect on their decisions and motives. Because sometimes we're in the grind of things and we're just, we already accustomed to saying certain things and responding to certain things and reacting and making decisions. Um, but really, when you schedule those quiet moments to reflect on your decisions and motives and have trusted people around you that are going to speak truth without fear and keep those core values in plain sight is very important. I have people on my team that they're able to check me,
Mm-hmm.
that they're able to tell me those hard truths that sometimes leaders don't want to hear, but it's important for them to hear. And people on my team, on my close circle, sometimes they've told me things that didn't want to hear,
Yeah.
or they told me things that stung and they hurt, but I needed it. Why? To keep me grounded. And I think that most leaders today, they're not open to that constructive feedback. Why? Because it's not easy to take. And it doesn't matter what level of leadership you're in,
Mm-hmm.
it's never easy to take. And I tell my team, it's never going to become easy to hear and to get that constructive criticism, but it's important in order so I can stay grounded. And I need to be able to trust people on my team who are able to speak without fear,
Mm-hmm.
in order for me to be able to stay aligned with those values that I stand for. Because when you consistently revisit why you lead and why you're less likely to drift when power shows up at the door.
Mm-hmm.
So staying grounded is important. I actually want to challenge the people that are listening to this podcast. When was the last time you scheduled a meeting with yourself? When was the last time that you scheduled time with yourself on your calendar? It's important because sometimes we get consumed with all the things from the day that we don't take that moment for ourselves to be able to reflect and analyze where we're at.
Yeah, definitely. Such an important and critical piece you said right now. We get so entwined with every single thing that's happening every single day, and we lose maybe sight of like why are we doing what we're doing? Why are we doing this in the first place? And if you don't, like you said, schedule that one time, just for yourself to kind of analyze, strategize, kind of even just go over the things that you did, and how was that going to be? Did I impact people? Did I help people? Did I Did I do my best? What happened? And I appreciate you saying that because not everybody does that. Hervin, not everybody does that. I talk to a lot of coaches and executives, and they always tell me, "Man, I'm 8 in the morning to like 11:30 at night," and I said, "Man, so when do you like kind of breathe?" One thing I will say this is I am a very honest, transparent individual when I do a lot of my coaching calls and my trainings because I don't want to tell you what you want to hear. I'm going to tell you what's definitely in front. You know, trickling a tad bit back to the grounding part. If you are not grounded in what you're doing, how effective are you at the end of the day to be effective for others? I always, you know, I need to be comfortable having those uncomfortable conversations. Leaders don't want to hear it. I'll be honest, you just said it right now. Some leaders, they don't want to hear it because maybe their ego might get stepped on a tad bit, and once you let go of that, I wrote an article about ego and leadership. Once you let go of ego, your leadership becomes more natural, more organic. It becomes more humanized instead of like I rule with an iron fist. This Gestapo style leadership, and it doesn't really work. And I like how you really ended that your discussion with taking time for yourself. And I like you challenged everybody. Hey, I'm going to do it more. I spend 30 minutes throughout the day in a journal. I read, and I want to do more. I know I have a lot of stuff I have to take care of, but I definitely got, for me to be an influence to others, like you said, you need to do it yourself. And you want if your team is well informed with a very transparent perspective, everybody wins. Everybody wins. I really appreciate it. Thank you. I'm gonna I want to ask you something off topic here because it's what I normally do. So I want to put you in the hot seat for 1 second there, Hervin. So, what is one leadership rule that you follow that you would like to share with everyone?
So I think that one of the what I love to share with people all the time, and I feel that it's very unique to me because it's not often there when I see in other people's leadership, is I'm very big on being organic,
Hmm.
allowing things to organically happen, um, being patient with the process. The moment that I built Zeta Coaching back in 2023 to where it's today, the growth that has happened has been very, very organically. And I haven't forced things. Now, I know that there's a sales component to it in pushing your brand and making sure that people are receptive to it, making sure that you're branding correctly, but making sure that when it comes to developing a brand, that you allow things to happen organically. And what I mean by that is don't force yourself onto people. You don't have to tell people, hey, I'm John Maxwell certified. Here I am. I can coach you. I can do XYZ for you. But allow things to happen organically. Serve people. When you serve people, you know, there's a lot of things that come from that. And I have many stories where because I was able to organically connect with someone, opportunities came about that. And opportunities have come about that. And I'll share one with you. There was a time that I went to a networking mixer uh, when I first started going to networking mixers. And if I'm completely honest, it was a little awkward for me at the beginning
Yeah.
because I didn't know how to interact with people. And I remember that it came to a decision I had to make. I arrived at the networking mixer, and you know how when you arrive at a place, you kind of scan the room and try to see who's there to
Yeah.
see if you know anybody, and if you do, you naturally gravitate towards them because
Exactly.
you wanna feel comfortable. So what I did is I remember I saw and I knew no one. I knew no one. And there was an empty table, and then there was a table with two ladies and an empty seat. And I had to make a decision. I said, do I sit by myself or do I sit with those two ladies? And
Mm,
in a split second, I made a decision. I said, you know what? I'm going to go sit with those ladies. And what I did is I sat there and I applied the art of connecting with people. And for the first 15 minutes, all I did was listen to their story, ask them about themselves, and I didn't talk about me.
mhm.
I made it all about themselves. And then there towards the end, they asked me, so what about you? What do you do? So I started sharing a little bit of the work that I did with Zera coaching. But to make long story short, that opportunity opened doors to host a leadership conference at a local university. And that was the art of connecting. See, there's power in
Mm.
connecting organically. And I want to highlight that is allowing things to happen organically. Don't push yourself onto people. Don't push yourself into relationships. Allow them to flow naturally.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. That's Hervin. That's pretty awesome, man. That's great. I like how you said that everything organically. I think we spent more time having this organic communications, organic meetings, this organic networks. Like you said, everything will flow much better. When I started Edge Consultant Leadership a while ago, I I must have had like about 45 workshops and nobody showed up, events, nobody showed up. And one day I made the decision of having a just a webinar really in Raymondville, and nobody showed up except for one person. And I treated that one person like I had a room full of people. I tell you, I was nervous. I was sweating. My hands were swerving. My clicker wasn't working. I had to shift over. So it was very like on the moment. And it was one of the best workshops I've done since I've had my business. And we had such a great time. We laughed. We threw ideas. And at the very end, I learned something. You know, if you are yourself, that's perfect. That's right there, man. I was myself. I didn't treat this individual no different, just like a great human being, and it's such a great now that person gave me the opportunity, believe it or not, after 2.5 years, that person gave me the opportunity to bring in my organization and be their trainer for 2 years. So that opened the door. So it resonates exactly what you said with what you talk about sitting down and talking to them and having that communication. It's so honest. But Hervin, I really appreciate you taking time today, your busy schedule, to hang out with us here at All Things Leadership. We definitely appreciate your point of view. Great, great discussion with you. You're a powerhouse in leadership development as a coach, speaker, and trainer. And no, I definitely appreciate everything you do. And for all my followers, you can look up Hervin and his team on LinkedIn. They're doing all sorts of great things to definitely influence, empower and motivate everybody. So I definitely recommend everyone to check them out on LinkedIn. If you want to stalk them like I do in the down low, you can do it. Any last parting words, Hervin?
Yeah, thank you so much, Dr. Horacio, again for the invite. It was great being able to share this platform with you. And I do want to make a special announcement. If you are in the Rio Grande Valley, our teams at our coaching and the Maxwell Leadership Certified team, we are hosting a leadership conference on Friday, September 26th. Leadership Day Conference on Friday, September 26th from 8:30 a.m. to 1 p.m. in the city of FAR. If you want more information, please visit our website, hellozera.com, which is hello, ZERA.com for more information on that leadership.
Awesome. Well, I guess I'm going somewhere in September.
We'd love to have you.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. I appreciate everybody. Have a great time. Have a great day. Stay focused, stay motivated, stay driven. Be somebody. Everybody's great. Continue what you're doing. And I appreciate it, Hervin. Sir, thank you very much for your time and have a great day.
All righty, stay safe and keep the faith.
You too, boss.